Hello once again, individuals, and welcome to another episode of Bagel Drawings. My name is Floppard, and I just want to tell you that today I will be drawing a ship from Halo as suggested by Zingcraft, my favorite YouTuber, who's been very kind to me in past videos and has given me lots of happy comments. In fact, I'm not just going to draw any ship from Halo because there are so many of them. I'm going to draw one that's kind of medium in size and one that kind of looks cool to me, and that is the UNSC Forward Unto Dawn that was in Halo 3 and in Halo 4. I really haven't played the Halo games much, so if I kind of botch what the sections of the ship are for and such, I'm sorry about that, but I guess I'm just going to have to do the best that I can do. Let's get started right away, because we've already wasted about a minute of your time, and I do not want to waste any more of your time. It is valuable. Let's go ahead and start off by drawing, I guess, the forward section of this thing. I'm going to start off very, very vague, and then periodically get more and more descriptive of the shape of the craft depending on the amount of time that I have. We're going to go ahead and just draw in to start a kind of vague outline of this craft. We're going to start out with kind of a long, mostly horizontal line right here. We're going to take this down and to the side, put in a nice big bulgy object that I'm not really sure what the purpose of it is. And then we're going to have another smaller one and take this back just like that. Now on the bottom here there's going to be another bit of complexity. We're going to go ahead, take this line up, over, down, around, in circles, have it do aileron rolls, and in general go nowhere in particular, and we're going to end up right about there. Now, the top is going to go more like this, and the bottom really shouldn't extend up this high. I'm sorry, I don't really know too much about this ship, and furthermore, I am not really experienced at drawing these ships, and it is a massively complicated task to do, but I'm going to try my best here. So, I'm going to go ahead now and draw the bottom of this, which extends upwards in a gentle slant, downwards, straight, upwards again, and forwards until it intersects with this, and then I'm going to go more into that later. The top here extends sideways, and then there's a little jump in it right here. Again, I'm pretty sure that many people, and it's not just me, don't know entirely what the purpose of all of this texture is, and they just kind of like these ships because they look vaguely like a cross between a battleship and a gun, both of which are quite relevant in the Halo series, except that they're in space, which is also really cool. Right, let's get back to drawing. I'm going to go ahead and draw the top of this, because of course we need perspective. This perspective will be quite easy to do. All that we're going to do is just follow the lines that we have initially been given, and wherever there is a little jump, I'm just going to put down a more or less horizontal line, and then follow the lines again, more or less horizontal line, etc., 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 until we get to the end of this. And that is just going to make it look a bit more 3D and a bit nicer. In addition, this thing actually gets a little bit wider with this uppermost section, so I'm going to go ahead and take this off to the side a bit more. And this right here actually does kind of taper to a blunt point, so I am going to just put a line there to denote that and erase a stupid line that I made completely by mistake. Alright, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead now and draw. There's a little further down section right here, and now we get to the command room where all of the people are, presumably. Or at least where the commanders are. And I'm just going to try to render this in pretty simplistically. So just kind of follow along, come along for the ride, and I think that you'll do fine on this section. A lot of this is just kind of emulating something that looks kind of cool, but that really a lot of this texture doesn't have much meaning. So if you really botch the texture, it's fine. It doesn't really mean much anyway, and you can draw a simpler version. In fact, I am drawing a much simpler version than is actually present. I'm going to try to add in more details at the very end, but until then, now isn't the end. It ain't over until it's over, and it is not over yet. So, we're going to take this thing down, and then we're going to go a bit more off to the side. Unfortunately, I'm running out of room on this piece of paper. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be able to draw this entire thing. This is the rear engine of the two, or not the rear engine, but the engine that is further away from us engine. And that has a nice nozzle right here, which I'm just going to suggest the details of. And then we can go ahead, move forward in the craft, and begin to look at the details of the frontwards engine, which goes out even further than this engine, and I'm not entirely sure how well you're seeing this, but you just put another nozzle on, just like the nozzle on the other craft. And yes, I'm really going from one end of this drawing paper to the other. So yes, we just take this line down right here, and this is why I say that it kind of looks like a weapon. This would actually be kind of the vicinity of a trigger area, and it does seem as if such an area is defined, which makes it look kind of like a firearm, which I'm sure the game designers intended that to happen. So yes, we're just going to move forward throughout the craft now. There is some kind of lumpy unevenness at the bottom of the craft that is more pronounced than it was at the top of the craft, but nonetheless we get out of it. There is a kind of large incline here, and then we get to the bottom gun turret, and we're just going to go ahead and take this more or less straight with a couple of gentle slants and such all the way to the front of the craft. I realize now that I did this a little bit out of proportion, but I still think that it looks like a relatively good drawing overall, I would say anyway. So I guess I'm going to keep it as it is for now. Let's go ahead and draw this final little section in, and this is the bottom gun turret. And next we can just put in a couple little details that will really enhance this, and then we can end it for now. There are some little, almost what look like tinier guns that are extending out like this. There are some guns that are facing forwards that you can just represent by tubes or by basic kind of long rectangles. There is also some interesting texture in the actual craft itself. For example, there is an incline slope that is right here. This section that is in here kind of bulges out. Yes, I really did kind of make this a bit of a shorter spacecraft than it actually was. I'm sorry about that. This craft really extends longer, especially this section right here. Nonetheless, I still think that it looks okay. So, I'm just going to keep on going with it. For those of you Halo purists who really want to draw the thing perfectly, I'm very sorry. So this has some sloped lines down here, giving it more texture. And there is also plenty of texture in the rear back here that isn't really all that prominent, but that nonetheless lends itself a great deal to the actual good looks of this craft. So, yes, I think that that is a relatively reasonable look at a battleship in the game Halo, and thus a ship in the game Halo. If you have any requests, be sure to send them in. I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to botch them as badly as I did here, and if you view that this is a good drawing, some of my other drawings are a million times better. I am going to go ahead and shade this thing in to a greater extent and present the final version to you if you want to go more into it. Well, here it is in its completion. I just want to say that this basically kind of bad drawing looks a lot better once you get around to actually shading it and adding in a lot of the small details. If you really are going ahead and trying to do this, why don't you pause it right now, take a look at this drawing, and try to copy as many details as possible. Because I think that while my efforts to explain how this thing works were bumbling, the end result actually wasn't that bad. Well, I suppose that's it for now. Have a very nice day, individuals. Like, favorite, subscribe, and share, please. And I will see you next time with another episode of whatever I come up with next. Peace!